So Texas taking on TCU at home this weekend is a game that, in my opinion, you don't want to miss. We talked about this last night on the live stream that I think this is in contention for game of the week. When you look at how they're going to stylistically match up against one another, and when you look at the implications on the line, this is must-see TV, and today we need to break it down. And interestingly enough, whether you look at ESPN, FPI, or betting sites, the Texas Longhorns are favored, and we have to ask the question, are they justly favored? Before we can answer this question, y'all know the drill. I have got to hear from you. Hop down to the comments. Give me a Y for yes or an N for no. Do you believe the Texas Longhorns can pull out a big win this weekend against undefeated TCU? Let me know what you're thinking. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. Hit that bell notification as I do constant college football content. You don't want to miss any of it. And if you enjoyed this content, be sure to like and comment down below as those interactions are massive. But having said all that, let's jump right into this. And I just can't say it enough. I can't wait for this game. Whenever you look at how these teams match up against one another, I think it gives way for fireworks. And let's break down why this is such a big occasion. For the Texas Longhorns, you're hosting big-time visitors this weekend. We talked about Anthony Hill decommitting from Texas A&M yesterday. Well, reports are he's planning on being in Austin. If you can get a big win, that could go a long way in that recruiting battle. Remember, Texas was one of the final teams for Anthony Hill. He's from the state of Texas, so one would have to imagine, even though I'm sure every institution in the nation has ramped up their recruiting of Anthony Hill ever since he decommitted, as they should, you have to imagine the Texas Longhorns are in a good position, and if they can get a win, that's going to go a long way. Anthony Hill is at a position of major need for the Longhorns. He's someone who could come in and compete for a starting job day one. He is that gifted. 5-star number 1 linebacker in the nation, and the number 17 player in all of high school football, regardless of position. But that's not the only recruit the Texas Longhorn faithful are watching right now. And at the end of the day, no matter the names of the recruits we can throw into the pot, the result is the same, that a great showing against TCU could go a long way in recruiting battles and for Texas's confidence going out of this game and going and exiting this year. The Texas Longhorns have had a really interesting year, one that I think is going to give excitement for Longhorn fans moving into next year because of some of the youth. But now let's refocus on this game Saturday. Let's talk about some of these matchups and let's talk about how these teams are going to match up against each other. And whenever we look at this, we can expect high flying offense. Steve Sarkisian and the Texas Longhorns have the capability to score with anybody in the nation. When you look at that offense, Quinn Ewers is a young quarterback. He's made some young mistakes, not many, but whenever you watch him play, what is abundantly clear is his upside. That kid is going to be a star, and I'm super excited to watch him play football on a week-in, week-out basis, and it only helps the excitement whenever you give him an Xavier Worthy on the outside and Bijan Robinson as a running back, not to even mention Roschon Johnson, who's been great this season. Texas has got a lot of weapons on the offensive side of the ball, and do not think for 1 second I'm going to forget about Jatavian Sanders. Texas fans, you know one thing about me at this point. I think y'all's tight end position is a budding star in college football, and I can't wait to see the whole nation become aware of the talent you have in that room. I think he is a star in the making. I really feel that strongly about it. But whenever we watch this, how could this game go down? Well, let's turn our attention to the ranks. And if we look at total defense, neither one of these teams comes in with a vaunted defense. When we look at the Texas Longhorns, they sit just outside the top 70, coming in at number 74, and TCU is not far behind, coming in at 86. Whenever we're talking about the largest separation between these two defenses, it's how they stop the run. Because Texas has been able to stop the run at least semi-effectively, coming in at number 32 in the nation. However, TCU has struggled more in that department, coming in at number 70 in the nation. And if you're a TCU fan, that might not be what you want to hear when you look at the running back room you're going to be facing and the way those guys can take over games. They have a ton of ability in that running back room. For how these teams can stop the pass, Texas comes in as the number 101 pass defense in the nation, and TCU is number 95. And once again, not a large separation between the two teams in this aspect. However, one of the areas where I think this gives a little bit of cause for concern for the Texas Longhorns in particular is you're not playing a young quarterback. You're playing a quarterback that is seasoned in college football. He's played a lot of games. He knows what to expect, and that experience could be big in a game such as this, especially when your secondary has had its struggles. Offensively, how do these two teams stack up? Well, offensively, in total offense, Texas comes in at number 30, but remember, like I said, those stats are a little skewed because of the injury to Quinn Ewers. Where they would be had Quinn never gotten injured would be very interesting to see, but it is something to keep in mind. Offensively, TCU comes in as a top 5 offense in the nation, coming in at number 4. If we're looking at rushing offense, Texas comes in at number 35 to TCU's number 13. And passing offense, Texas comes in at number 49 to TCU's 22nd. So this is why I say this game is going to present great matchups. Texas's defense struggles the most against the pass. That's something TCU does as well as anybody, and they're led by a veteran quarterback and a lot of NFL wide receivers. We talk about the NFL wide receivers and the NFL talent that the Texas Longhorns have on that roster, and deservedly so. They have a lot of talent on that roster. It deserves recognition. I don't feel bad about that, but we have to give credit where it's due. That TCU offense, they've got some NFL dudes on that offense, especially in that wide receiver room. They're going to be making plays on Sunday soon. Big plays. I think we can all bet on that. So you're going to see a matchup where TCU's defense struggles the most against the run. Texas has got one of the best running back rooms in the nation, and they have got to feel confident about their ability to generate positive plays for their offense against this TCU defense. On the flip side, like I said, TCU has got a veteran quarterback. They also have the ability to run the ball very well. Let's not pretend like TCU is a one-dimensional offense, that they don't have the ability to run the football at a very effective rate. They absolutely do. But you're led by a veteran quarterback going up against a secondary that has been porous at best. Now, while both secondaries have been porous, the reason why I keep bringing your attention to TCU's quarterback against the Texas secondary is because he's an experienced college football quarterback. Quinn Ewers has all the ability in the world, and Sark is an offensive genius. Max Duggan's just been there, done that, and so we have to talk about that. But now let's really dive into the details of this game really quickly, and let's start with Texas's offense against TCU's defense. And how can Texas ensure that they're put in positive positions? I think it all revolves around that rushing attack. The rushing attack and tight end play. Whenever we look at the tight end, they're in a really interesting place in college football. They are constantly used as mismatches and almost an extension of the rushing game. I think the best example of that is watching Georgia's offense with Todd Monken. They have done some really cool things, and if you ever get some free time, go check it out. You'll see exactly what I mean when I say they almost use the tight end as an extension of the running game. Well, I think we could see something very similar from Texas against TCU. Texas's running back room is as good as they come. We've talked about this before, whether we're talking Bijan, Roschon, Keelan Robinson. They have got names on top of names, and it's a lot to be excited about. TCU has not had the ability to stop the run at a consistent basis, but I also have to imagine they're going to get Jatavian Sanders mixed in. And if you're able to successfully get your tight ends mixed in the intermediate to short passing game, and you're able to run the ball at an effective rate, well, now we're talking about the play action pass, and you have Xavier Worthy. So you can generate offense. There is no question about that. The question, how are you going to stop the TCU offense? And one of the best ways to do that is not let them have the ball, which is why I keep directing your attention to your running game. That's not to say play scared of TCU. That's not to say don't take your shots against TCU. You're absolutely going to have to do that, especially with the way this TCU offense has played. I say that because you're going to want to control the flow of this game. You have a young quarterback, and you have the ability to control it. So do so. Take the air away from them and make them play Texas football. If you're Steve Sarkisian, there is one thing that you must ensure: that you make the adequate second half adjustments. Because right now, the biggest question I have for Texas, and the biggest reason I question why they're given such a lofty advantage over TCU, when you look at the betting line, it may be 7 points, but ESPN FPI gives Texas a 73% chance to win this game. The reason why I have to question that is because Texas has not been good in the second half. It has been something that's reared its ugly head time and time again, and unfortunately, for the Texas Longhorns, it doesn't matter whether you have the lead. It doesn't matter if you're down. The second half always is a roller coaster ride. You can't afford to have that happen against a veteran quarterback and this TCU offense. I just think they have the ability to take advantage of it, where Texas has been able to play with fire some other times this year and get away without being burned. I think TCU will burn you. But if you're TCU, the one thing I love that you have in this game is you have been battle tested. You have had close games. You got taken to overtime this year, and you have a veteran quarterback. So for Texas, my biggest question is if it gets close in the second half, how are you going to be able to make the adjustments? I don't have that same question for TCU. If it gets close in the second half and TCU is right there, we have to imagine, based on all the empirical evidence provided to us since Steve Sarkisian has been at Texas, and guys, this is not a shot at Steve Sarkisian in Texas. For my Texas fans that frequent this channel, you'll know I defend Steve Sarkisian and the Texas Longhorns. I defend what they're going to be able to do, and I consistently say give him time. He needs time. But I also can't ignore facts. And the fact of the matter is, more often than not, when things get shaky in the second half, it does not end well for Steve Sarkisian and the Texas Longhorns. You're going up against a veteran quarterback. You're going up against a quarterback that's been tested this year by good teams. You cannot afford to have another second half meltdown against TCU because they'll burn you. And as we opened up this video, I think Texas is trending in a positive direction, but a win against TCU could go a long way in getting you there, especially with some of the recruits you're hosting. But if you want to really sew up these recruiting battles, show them you have the ability to make adjustments on the fly, because that's going to show them you can put them in positions to be successful for not only 2 quarters, but for 4. And that's exactly what Texas needs to get at. I can't wait to hear from you guys. This game is going to be electric. I haven't even gotten to tell y'all who I think is going to win. And unfortunately, Texas fans, I'm sorry, as of right now, it's hard for me to pick against TCU. I understand Texas has got all this firepower, and they have a lot of ways to win this game, especially with that running game. But if it gets close in the second half, TCU's experience at the quarterback position is intriguing in my opinion. At the end of the day, though, if Texas is able to successfully run the ball and get the ball to their tight end, they have so many weapons that you have got to be a good defense to deal with that, and that's why I can't wait to see this game. I think I'd have to pick TCU right now, but I can't wait to talk about this again on Friday as more information comes out. I really want to see the health of TCU's wide receiver, because if he's not a go, well, that will change the conversation we have. Can't wait to hear from all of you. Hop down to the comments. Let me know what you're thinking. That's it. See ya.